Tractor broke down.
Did it? I'm supposed to be Will Toombs. W.W. Toombs. My full name was Willie Wilkerson Toombs. And I was, that was my cousin here will tell you some more history on it, but I was supposed to be, I did the real estate business for a few years after I retired from farming and all that kind of stuff. But I had 5 brothers and 5 sisters, 11 kids in the family. A little bit louder, they can't hear you. Well, I can't talk. Y'all can't hear?
Now we're good. That's better.
Okay. But anyway, I had five brothers and 5 sisters, and they all lived to be pretty old. I lived to be 78. I died with a heart attack. What year that was? 70. Thank you. But this is some of my grandkids here. There was 3 of them here, Jeff and Kit and Diane, and their mother was my daughter. And but anyway, I was just, like I said, I was in the real estate business here in Merkel for a long time, and I sold a lot of houses and to people and carried the note on them. And they probably, when I died, I probably had 50 homes that people were paying me. You know, it didn't pay very much back them days. You know, maybe $25 a month or $50 a month. But you know, I'm going to say 95% of all the people that I had loaned them the money to buy houses end up paying for them, and they were just, you know, it really helped the community out, I think. And y'all got any questions about anything? Okay. I'm going to turn it over to my grandson here. Let him tell you some stuff.
Hi everybody, I'm Jeff Toombs. I'm the youngest grandson of Willie Wilkerson Toombs. Y'all gonna have to forgive me because I didn't find out about this till about 10 o'clock last night, so I'm gonna have to read mine. But I wrote this last night kind of for some notes that Diane has sent me from some that I can remember. This is history of our granddad, Willie Wilkerson Toombs, born October 13th, 1892, and passed away January the 2nd, 1970, at the age of 78. In 1880, in Springville, Tennessee, Thomas Joel Toombs, better known as T.J. Toombs, and Henrietta Moore were married, my great-grandmother and my great-granddad. They had a son and a daughter before leaving Tennessee and moving to Farmers Branch, Texas, with his 2 brothers. But one of them, their wife didn't like the wilderness, so they went back to Tennessee where there was civilization. While in Farmers Branch, TJ and Henrietta had 2 more daughters before heading west to West Texas, a place about 12 miles south of Merkel, a place called Mulberry Canyon, to a small community of Nubia. Now, nowadays the young folks call it Nubia, but the proper name was Nubia, where another son was born. His name was Willie Wilkerson Toombs. The family was known for their hard work and strict upbringing in the church, but also their fun-loving spirit. Will grew up as a normal boy for the times. He loved to hunt, he loved to fish. Once or twice a year, the entire family would shut down their farming operations and they'd go on about a week fishing trip. That was their vacation. But he also had another side to him. He was also often referred to as the little banty rooster because he wasn't very big. He found himself often in a fight. One of his best friends, Grover Blair, had a little more mouth than he could back up. So he would often call on Will for backup. And Will often found himself in a scrap. He usually won, even with his small stature. He was gutsy. The school in Mulberry Canyon only went through the 5th grade. After he finished the 5th grade, he started working. And in 1916, Will, his best friend Grover Blair, and his cousin Dee Laverne Moore, all three started dating sisters. Will married Bernice Crow on January 29, 1917. Marty's not in jail. She was 16 and he was 25. At the time of their marriage, TJ, Will's father, gave each of the boys 10 acres and a horse or a mule to start their journey and provide for their families. Will and Bernice turned their 10 acres into a very successful farming operation that turned out to be several hundred acres. Meanwhile, they started a family. The firstborn son was Will Toombs, who married Lois Campbell. They had 2 boys and a daughter, Billy Bob, Freddy, and Susie Toombs. The second son, my dad, Stanley B. Toombs, was married and had a son named Danny Mike that died when he was 2. They later divorced, and in the early 50s, Stanley married my mother, Betty Jo Robertson, and had a son, Jeff Toombs, which is me. The daughter was Peggy Dennison. She was born 7 years after Stanley, with the same birthday. She was the only daughter. She married Jim Dennison and had 2 daughters, Diane and Catherine, or as the rest of us know her, Kit. We were and are a very close family, spending every Christmas and Thanksgiving at Will and Bernice's house, or better known as Pa and Gramps. There was always more food than we could eat, and a good time to be had by all. After the festivities, all the men would gather up. In the early days, they would go to the feed store that Willoughby owned downtown. Later on, in the kitchen of Will's house, and play a card game called Pitch, and they would play it till the wee hours or daylight. I remember Pa always dressed up as Santa Claus at Christmas. I was 3 or 4 years old, and I looked out the window and I saw Santa Claus looking back in at me, and it like this scared me to death. I didn't like Santa Claus for several years after that. But he was quite the jokester, always pulling pranks on someone. Will was more of an early day entrepreneur. He farmed, ran the cotton gin, brokered cotton, bought and sold farms, and after semi-retiring in the late 40s, after suffering from a heart attack, he started a new career with his partner, Royce Downey, a real estate and personal loan business. He loved to help his friends and neighbors. He would broker house deals, loan money for homes, vehicles, just about anything that the neighbors needed. Rumor has it he even loaned a friend some money for false teeth one time. At one time probably in the early 60s, his name, and I still have a lot of it, my wife, when my mother passed away, helped me clean it out. We got many, many, many old deeds to houses in Merkles, or copies of them. His name was on practically every deed in Merkle in the 60s at one time or another. He was a man that loved his family, his extended family. There was practically nothing he would not do for us. I was about 7 when he passed away, but I still remember sitting in the backyard playing ball with a little green ball, him taking me to the garden, where he always had a garden on some vacant lot in town, and we'd go water, pick weeds, pick the produce, and he would take the harvest, carry it throughout the town to give it to friends and neighbors and the widow women of Merkle. He was very involved in the Methodist Church for most of his life. He was instrumental in getting the fellowship hall hauled in and set up at the church. He was a very prompt man. He would come home for lunch at exactly 11:30. Watched a little TV, which was Let's Make a Deal, and took a little nap, but he would be back at work at exactly 1 p.m. To sum up the story, Willie Wilkerson Toombs was a man who loved the Lord, his family, his community, and his church. He made a great impact on this community and tried to set his children up and teach them, each one, that hard work, to be frugal, and how to be successful. Although he was not perfect, he was a wonderful man. Our grandfather, Willie Wilkerson Toombs.
We had my grandfather, great-grandfather, had a farm out north of Trent, and up until about 3 months ago, it had been kept in the family. Everybody that ever had, it was like 11 kids, and of course, you can imagine how many other kids they were scattered out all over the state or United States, and they all had about 10 or 15 of them still had interest in it. They didn't even know it, some of them, and they ended up selling it to a gentleman, and which we don't own it no more, but they all kept their minerals, and they still get a little wall check, maybe not much, maybe $10 a month or $20 or something. But I was named after my great granddaddy, which was, his name was TJ. They called his name actually Tom, and my middle name was Tom. So anyway, that's all we got.
All right.
One other thing I'd like to add, some of you know where I live out south of town. We built a little bardominium out of those big oak trees. My dad inherited most of that farm from my granddad, and I still live there.
Wow.
Thank y'all for coming. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.